Booktube. I just read Consider Phlebas. There's a lot with that book. Um, okay, there's a lot of stuff I got right. Uh, the world building was on point. The characters' descriptions were on point. The situations were interesting. The characters were okay. Um, this book was it was longer than it needed to be. It was longer than it should have been. Um, One of my big problems with modern sci-fi is um, the length of the books. It's back in the 50s and 60s. They were only so big because, well, the if you Google it, the official reason is was so that merchants could fit so many of these books in their little spindle things. Like they want to be able to fit four of them into a thing and be able to, because everybody bought books back then. But with the advent of bookstores and bookshelves, people selling this stuff, they wanted to train the reader to see the value in a larger book for the same amount of price and choose that over another. These books kept getting longer and longer, but they did so um, by making crappy books. They increased the word length by uh, putting in side plots that nobody cares about, adding characters who nobody cares about, adding situations who no one cares about, adding details that no one cares about, and they just inflated and inflated and inflated these books with just needless filler. So now, when you buy a lot of these books, when you buy them, they're just full of they're either one um, full of too many details that don't matter and just stop the whole story. Um, side side plots that don't have anything to do with the main plot, don't advance the main plot, and they're just there, obviously just there to make the book bigger, or they'll get into the problem that Consider Phlebas has, where they will not do a very good job of explaining why the book exists in the first place, what the main problem is that they need to solve, and they'll introduce character after character after character after character, and situation and relationship between these characters that never actually go anywhere. Um, Consider Phlebas. That's the problem it had. It started out explaining, oh, look at these cool ships with who are sentient and have these things called minds. Look at these characters that I'm introducing to you that you really don't care about and aren't memorable at all. And then it gets into this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, this happens. And then halfway through the book, you forget why you're reading it in the first place. And then you have to choose whether or not to DNF it or go all into the sunk cost fallacy and try to finish a book that you don't really care about reading. Um, that's what Consider Phlebas was. I mean, it got a lot of stuff right. I mean, the character descriptions, I wish I wrote that good. I mean, they did a really good job with this. And some of the people that they met, like, it involves, they go to the ship that's so big that it has its own weather patterns. And it has, it contains an atmosphere through centripetal force as if you were spinning, they give this analogy of spinning a bucket full of water so fast that the water kind of stays in place through the process of principles of centripetal force. And that's how this giant ship contains this atmosphere is through centripetal force. I mean, there's so you can land in this section of environment as if it were a planet itself, and it's just a ship spinning around a circle. So they did a really good job of explaining what it's like to land in such a thing, and you really feel like you're there. Um, you really do. They get a lot of things right. It's just they get the important parts of why you read a book that long are just missed. Halfway through the book, I had no idea why I was reading it, and I really had to decide whether or not I wanted to keep reading it. Um, a lot of these giant books have this problem. But then again, this was book 1 of 9, so they got something right, and a lot of people liked it and they wanted to keep reading. So who knows? Whatever. I'm just some guy on YouTube. Don't listen to me. But at the same time, I did enjoy reading what I read. Um, I just didn't think it should have been as long as it did, as it was. I did get the audiobook to like I got the audiobook with the idea that I wanted to prevent reader fatigue, and to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And the audiobook really was good. It was really well acted, and they did a lot of the character voices really well. Um, but even then, it was still tough going. uh, Kudos to the voice actor who did it, though, because they did the whole thing. Um, but so that's my take on it. Consider Phlebas. It's a giant book, and to condense it down into little parts is, well, there you go. It's a good book that didn't tell you what the point of the book was or remind you of the point of the book. So you just read and you didn't know why you were reading in the first place, and it was just, the whole thing was just a mess. Um, so if I had to give this a rating, I would give it a solid 5.7 sentient spaceships out of 10 inappropriate laser beams. Yeah, that's really it. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Please visit the Geb Shop on your way out. Buy my books. My Amazon author page is down in the description. Buy me a book, and I will read it. I will do a review on it. I will thank you in the video. Again, thanks for sticking around to the end. Here is a video of my cat. Bye.